Hello everybody and welcome to Suburban Dad's Wilderness Survival. Today I want to talk to you about two things. What makes a good survival kit and what I carry. Right, to understand what makes a good survival kit, the first thing we need to understand is what is a realistic survival scenario that you might find yourself in. But the first scenario is you're out on a hike or a four-wheeler ride or a snowmobile ride or some adventure of this sort. You get turned around, suddenly it's dark on you, and you're spending an unplanned night in the wilderness. And the other scenario, you're in your vehicle, you're either out exploring, checking out back roads, you get turned around, stuck in a ditch, or your vehicle breaks down, and you're spending an unplanned night with your vehicle. Neither one of these has to be a very terrible situation, but they are realistically potentially life-threatening. Right. They are going to be stressful. Anytime you're spending an unplanned night in the wilderness, it's going to be a stressful situation. You're not going to be able to function at that high mental level that you would if this were a planned trip, or if you were out camping or doing anything else or just relaxing at home. Your mental capacity is going to be diminished in a survival scenario. With that said, what makes a good survival kit, first and foremost, is that you carry it. Right. In order to carry it, it should be lightweight and compact, easy to carry. You can mix it in with the stuff you carry every day. Secondly, your kit needs to be able to compensate for that stressful survival mental capacity that you're going to have. When we are in a high stress scenario, all that higher level thought really goes away. You're going to regress to a point that you trained for repeatedly until it became a reflex to you. If you haven't practiced starting bow drill fires, there's no way you're going to do it in a survival scenario, because you're not going to have the mental capacity to get everything in line, and it'll be sheer luck if you manage to get a fire with a bow drill. So have a fire kit with you that can compensate for even marginal conditions. And we'll go over what I have in my bag next. Alright, so the two key things to remember with any survival kit. You have it, and it will compensate for a highly stressful situation and your diminished ability to think. With that said, let's go ahead and get into what I carry every day. Alright, before I go any further, I want to apologize to all my viewers. I'm battling a head cold today, so please forgive the sniffling as I go along here. Right. So here's my bag. I carry this to work every day. It is quite literally what I take my computer to work in, as we can see here. Alright, I'm going to set that aside for now. And here's what I'm talking about. This is a kit. It's lightweight. It is mixed into the things that I carry with me every single day. So I'm going to have it with me. I also have a similar kit in the glove box of my vehicle and the glove box of my wife's vehicle. That way we're going to have these things, these at least minimum things with us at all times. Alright, first thing is right here, front top pocket, because this is probably one of the most important things, especially if you live in Minnesota where I do. It gets mighty cold here in the winter. Right up front, top, front and center, my fire kit. I keep this in a dry bag to keep everything dry. Most everything inside is also inside a freezer Ziploc baggie. Alright, so let's get in here and see what I got. And how does this compensate for survivor mind in those stressful scenarios? The first thing, very simple, dryer lamp. It's about the best ignition source you can get. This stuff burns just like gasoline. Every time you do laundry, you've got a little more. Throw it in a Ziploc baggie, squeeze the air out of it as you kind of roll it up, squeeze the air out, and you will have tinder that is ready to accept even a cold spark, and will produce flame rather than an ember. That's why I like this dryer mat. Alright, now a lighter. If you're not flicking the Bic, you are already behind the curve. But let's say for some reason it's either too cold and the fuel in this just won't atomize and I can't get a flame out of it, got it wet, it's broken, the button got depressed and the fuel leaked out. Whatever the case is, this thing is ineffective to me. So I've got a backup system. It's just a simple ferrocerium rod. This one happens to come with a little striker attached to it. The striker is not necessarily the best in the world, but it will generate a spark. And I have started fires with this. All right. Coupled with this, in my pocket at all times, I also carry a knife. This knife has a portion of the blade, of the spine of this, that is at a nice 90-degree spine. I can use that on this to generate a great spark into that dryer lint, and it will ignite and I will have flame right away. It's really impressive how that works. Next, and this is what really compensates for that survivor mind, carry fire starters with me. These fire starters I make, you can make them at home. They're super easy to make, and I'll show you in another video how to do this. But we basically just have some twine, some rolled up newspaper, and we've dipped it in melted paraffin wax to create a candle of sorts. These, depending upon how big or small you make them, will burn for different periods of time. But even with very, very marginal tinder that's been out in the rain, it will burn long enough to get that tinder going, even if you're not mentally capable of really preparing a good tinder bundle. As long as you get enough really of the small sticks and twigs, this will burn long enough to get that stuff dried out and burning, and you can build on that until you have a nice stable fire going. These are my compensators in my fire kit. They will handle that brain that's not allowing me to choose proper tinder and get the best start to my fire. So that's my compensation factor. And again, I put these in a Ziploc bag. Now they are waterproof. I don't have to worry about them getting wet. But if it's hot out, I do have to worry about that paraffin kind of melting. And I don't want to get it into my bag or my clothing or whatnot. So I put it in a Ziploc bag. And these Ziploc bags, I now have two additional sources that I can carry water in if I need to get water, or any other materials I might pick up along the way that I want to carry. I've got a means to carry those. Let's go ahead and set this out of the way for a moment. Then we're going to move into the inner pocket here. Pull out what we got sitting in the bottom of my bag. This just sits in the bottom of my bag underneath my computer. It acts sort of like a cushion for my computer. If I drop my bag or set it down really hard, it's going to absorb that shock instead of my computer and breaking it. I carry two 50-foot lengths 550 paracord. This, you just can't have enough cordage. Two 50-foot lengths would be more than enough for any standard survival scenario. So I just keep them in there, nice to have at all times. And making natural cordage is very time consuming and tedious. Next, I have two bandanas, just standard bandana. These have a multitude of uses. You can use them to make a sling in the event that I'm injured, a bandage for a bleeding wound. I can use them to protect my head from the elements, especially the sun. I don't have a lot of natural protection up there anymore. And I can also use them as a pre-filter for my water. And when I say pre-filter, this is just going to filter out large debris. It's going to keep it from getting to my final filter, which will make potable water for me. Right, so this is just going to take out some of the debris, and it has a multitude of uses. This one I really like. It's a nice survival bandana, and it's got a lot of information printed on it, different things you can do to help your scenario. The thing I really like most about this, it's bright orange, so it can be used as signaling. All this written stuff, I probably know this. You probably know most of the things that are on here. But it can get you to sit down, read this, and get your mind started moving in a direction to get the things done that you need to do to make this the best possible situation and get you out in one piece. So that's what I really like about this. The simple act of sitting down and reading something can really help to align your focus to where it needs to be and get you doing the right things. All right, and a third one here. This, I like these. This is just a simple microfiber cloth. Why would I carry a microfiber cloth? Because it's really absorbent. If my situation has lasted long enough that I need to collect water, one of the ways I can do that is to collect morning dew. And because these are so absorbent, I can wipe up that morning dew and wring it out. And that's, for the most part, potable water. It's one of the things you can use this for. You can use it again as a bandage or to protect yourself from the elements. It's also nice to clean up every once in a while if it's an extended survival thing. So that's why I carry that. It's another source of water for me. All right, again, we'll set these off to the side. Side pouch here. Carry tape. Tape is always important. Duct tape, this happens to be tarp repair tape. It's really durable, strong. Got a multitude of uses, from repairing your gear. You can use it as a makeshift stitch if you have an open wound. We can get into that, how to do that down the road. And you can also use it as tinder in a fire. If I didn't have those fire starters with me, you can shred up this tape. Take it and just kind of shred it into little strips and get that started. Even with a ferrocerium rod, you can still get that started. A lot easier to do with a Bic. But just a multitude of uses, so always good to have some tape with you. Right up top here, I carry a second pocket knife. I say a second one because I've always got one in my pocket. But a knife or a cutting tool of some sort is a very important tool to have in a survival scenario. If you don't have a cutting tool, you are automatically in the Stone Age. Gonna make things a lot more difficult for you. Even just a small pocket knife like this one can provide you with so much more, so much easier than you're going to be able to do with a stone trying to hack away at something. So always have a knife in your kit. That's just important. And it can be a cheap knife. I would recommend getting a better knife, but it can be a cheap knife. Any cutting tool is going to be better than nothing. Set that up here out of the way. Alright, now the final bit of my kit. This pack I use mostly for survival gear, but I also do keep some work stuff in here. I've got a notepad. I take a lot of notes at work. It's always handy to have a notepad. At a very minimum in a survival scenario, this is tinder. Again, we're back to that fire and how important it can be. But I do a lot of notes and whatnot, so this is both a work and a survival thing. Along with that, I carry 3 pens and a pencil. The 3 pens, again, we're kind of at work here. I need to dictate things in different colors so that I know what I'm doing. Also handy during a land navigation. Sometimes you might want to mark things in different colors to make them stand out on your map for you. Make them easier to find. Another pencil. because no matter, it can be 40 below, none of these pens will work. It's just going to be too cold. This pencil will always work. So I always have a pencil with me. If the lead breaks, it's not a big deal. I can resharpen it with my knife. Right. And then talking about land navigation, I always carry a compass. I may not have a map with me. That's okay. At a minimum, having a decent compass and knowing how to use it is going to help me prevent lateral drift if I need to leave where I'm at and get to a safer point or a better point for rescue. Typically, I'm going to say don't leave where you're at unless you know where you're going. But the compass is not a bad tool to have with you. Carry 2 of these simple Mylar blankets. They're highly reflective, they're compact, they're super lightweight, and they're cheap. These can be used to make shelter or to line the inside of my shelter so that the heat from my fire is reflected back down on me. It's also waterproof, so it'll keep any rain off of my head. Can also use these as a fire reflector. I can put it on the back side of my fire to reflect some of that radiant heat from the fire back to me and really help keep me warm. Just a lot of uses, and they're for as cheap and as small as they are. Throw 2 of them in your bag and you're always going to be good, especially when we combine it with that paracord, a 550 cord, and we're going to have shelter and we're going to be fine. Also carry gloves. These are just medical gloves. I happen to be a medic at my job as well. You never know when gloves might come in handy. At a minimum, they're going to keep my hands clean. If I'm dealing with a lot of pine sap and fat wood and stuff, I can keep that pine resin and sap off my hands so I'm not getting all sticky and just really collecting everything. I can also use these to hold water. If I need to transport water, I can fill one of these gloves up with water, tie it off, and take it with me. If I filled it with potable water, just take the tip of my knife and one of those fingers, cut a little slit, and I've got a means to drink that water. With that being said, you want to make sure your gloves, if you're going to carry them, are not powder coated. You don't want that powder inside the glove because that'll contaminate your water. But just a standard non-latex glove, non-powdered, great tool to have with you. Right. On the shelter line, I've got 4 tent stakes. I live in an area where the soil this time of year, here in the winter, is rock hard. It's almost like trying to put a stake in the asphalt out front. So I like these. The triangular design makes them much stronger. I can really pound on these to get them into the frozen ground if I have to. I may not be able to, and I may have to find another method, but I have these for those times when I can, and they're going to make life a lot easier for me. Again, they're less than $1 a piece. They're really easy to carry. I have an extra dry bag here. This one can be used for any myriad of uses. Late spring or early spring, late fall, if I need to cross a body of water, especially in a cold climate like this, I don't want to do that with my clothes on. I want dry clothes when I get to the other side. I can take my clothes off, put them in this dry bag, swim across the whatever body of water I need to get across. Immediately when I get to the other side, I can throw on dry clothes and get to my fire, which is right up front and center. So a dry bag, just a really nice thing to have with you. And last but not least, kind of deepest thing in my bag here actually, is water. The reason I keep this a little bit deeper in my bag, most survival scenarios are going to last less than 72 hours. Most will actually last just overnight and be an unplanned night in the wilderness. It can easily go up to 72 hours without water. And beyond that 72-hour mark, you're really going to have to find water. So that's why it's important to have it with you. But I can keep it a little deeper in my pack because it's probably not going to be a necessity in the first day or so. I like these dry bags. You can color code them. Blue for water, easy to remember, easy to find, keeps my kit together. Personally, I like these Sawyer Minis. They're nice, lightweight, compact. It's got a nice little flow arrow on it. Shows you dirty water in, clean water out. The only thing you need to remember about these, of course, read the directions that come with them. But after the first time you use this, there's no way to guarantee that that filtered media in there is going to be dry. And it could freeze if you're in a cold climate like I live in. So we need to protect this against freezing after that initial use. Because I haven't used this one, it's fine to sit in my bag without any issues. I don't have to worry about it even on a long hike. It's not going to freeze because there's never been any moisture inside. After that first use, I'm going to find an inside pocket or stick it in my armpit. Carry it that way. Anything I can do to guarantee that it's not going to freeze on me in a cold weather environment. One of the reasons I like it is just they're so simple to use, and they'll filter out 99.9999% of all bacteria and protozoa, so it's going to make your water safe to drink. They come with this nice little squeeze container. Fill it up with from your water source. It can be a stagnant water source, it could be a stream, whatever. Screw it on to your Sawyer Mini, and you'll just squeeze that water through there into your water container or drink straight from it, and you've got nice potable water coming out of there. Really simple to use. Another way you can use these, it comes with a nice little straw. We plug that straw on. We can use this now to drink directly from our water source, and we're good to go. And last but not least, it comes with this nice little syringe here. It's a 50 milliliter syringe. This filter can be back flushed. I think that's a very important thing in any survival water filter scenario, is you can back flush it. What that means, I fill this up with potable water, give it a good hard plunge through there, and it's gonna, any debris that I haven't pre-filtered out, it's gonna push it off the filter, clean it out, and restore me back to that original flow that I got when I first started using this. It's going to really nicely clean it out. And this can also be part of my med kit, because I'm going to need clean water to clean out any wounds that I have. So I can clean the water, I can suck up nice clean water in this again, and I can irrigate that wound to clean it out before I close it up or bandage it, however I'm going to have to do to keep that clean. So, multitude of uses, really nice to have. The key thing to remember here, this is all stuff that's integrated into my everyday carry. It's in my truck, it's in my wife's glove box, it's in the bag that I carry to work every day. I mean, this stuff sits on my desk while I'm at work, plugging away at the computer. So, it really is integrated in my everyday life. I would carry a lot more if I'm going out on a trip, if I'm specifically going out hiking. I'm going to add another solar ignition source. I'm going to add more water. I'm going to have different containers for water. A single walled stainless steel container that I can boil water in. There's just a lot more things that I'm going to have with me, depending upon the scenario I'm having. But this is my base. This is stuff I've always got, and it's good to have with you no matter what you're doing. With that said, I thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button for future videos as we keep moving along here. And I show you the real world, everyday Joe survival equipment and how to use it and make yourself better prepared for that worst case scenario.